Hello ladies and gentlemen, Xcentori here and welcome back to another video. Now in this video we're going to be attempting one of the world's hardest approaches known in aviation. And that's right, we will be attempting the Paro approach. Now Paro Airport is an airport located in Bhutan and it is well known for its extremely difficult approach. Now you can see right now we are in an A319 in Druk Air or Royal Bhutan Airlines, which is the only airline to actually fly into Paro to my knowledge, and right now we are trying to get our speed down a little bit so we can enter this descent. Now basically on this descent what's going to happen is you can see the valley right in front of us there. We're going to descend through this valley and basically we're just going to follow our flight plan here. Now the airport actually has an altitude of, you can see, 7,400 feet. And that's very high, which means we need to be very aware of our speed throughout the entire approach here into this airport. So you can see what I've been doing here is I've just been checking on the speeds. Now you might think my flight plan looks a bit weird, but I'll explain it to you right now. I took off from Paro earlier and just made this little flight plan here of the route. But this is where the arrival chart starts, and we're already in the arrival chart, starting to head through the valley here. So you can see this is the main valley we'll follow. I can just sort of point it out to you all in just normal free cam mode actually. So if we just get onto the free camera, basically we follow this valley down here and we got to do a right turn followed by a very sharp left turn followed by a very sharp right turn, which then goes onto the runway. So it's a very challenging approach and it's not one that's been done very often. So we're going to announce inbound for landing on runway 33 and we're going to do right traffic. I'm pretty sure we're right traffic because right at the end we do that sharp right turn. So that is us there in contact, and we are still going a little bit too fast for my liking, but I'm alright as long as our descent is looking good right now, you can see here. Okay, so I've just zonked us quickly into the HUD mode and you can see how well that descent is going on there, so that's looking very good, and that's just where we want it to be. Now there are many different views we can look at this flight from, but I've got a few interior views for us to have a look at from the cockpit just so we can get an idea of how crazy it's going to be when we are going through all of these mountains. So I think right now this is probably the best view to have a quick look at right now. So that's a pretty good one, all set and ready for us to go. We're going to just as well also zoom in on our nav a little bit because it's going to get very hard very quickly and it's about to be a very difficult approach. So we're going to put on our landing lights as well because we are above ground level, pretty much 10,000 feet nearly above ground level, about 13,000, but you guys can all tell that's going to change extremely shortly. I'm just going to adjust our trim to about 12%, which is the trim I usually fly with. Okay, so we are just right now flying above that valley, and we're about to turn into the valley indeed, which is just down there. So that is our one right here. There is our valley, and Paro is just around these mountains or valleys, believe it or not. So I believe it's just around the side of the one there in the centre of the screen. So it should be a pretty doable approach. And not too tricky of a landing, I don't think. Now, I'm going to attempt the landing without a HUD, but push comes to shove, if I have to, I will not use HUD and I will completely change. Okay, so we're due to hit a checkpoint at 16,000 feet for a rapid descent there to just under 12,000 feet. So it's going to get very, very low very quickly. So I'm going to bonk down our speed there to 240. And we do need to remember that soon we will be in that final zone for approach into Paro. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip forward until we're a little bit later on in our landing approach. Okay, so I've made a few adjustments. We haven't actually moved far since I last spoke about that, but I've made a few adjustments and we are now on that final descent there now into very low altitude. So we're going to have to sort our speed out there and probably put our spoilers into flight mode. And the iPad's getting a little bit laggy here, trying to load in some scenery for us all, but that is okay. We're going to use, just look at these hills, just look how well, they're not hills, they're pretty much mountains here. So we are coming in very steep very quickly, and we will be looking to bring in our flaps actually quite shortly once we get our speed down, just a little bit more, 200 knots, and we should be good. So it's going to be a bit of a weird one. going around this hill here in the front, but I still think we're quite a bit high for some of the approaches I've done here before, but we are literally coming now face to face with literal mountains, as you could just see there with our wing views that I gave you a big show of. So hopefully we've got this in the bag. I've got quite a bit of faith in my piloting abilities to get us down onto the ground safely. So here we go, we're only at 200 knots, and we are going to look to bring in some flaps once we reach 200 knots. I'll be happy to engage my first set of flaps at Paro Airport, and we have announced inbound, and we will be reporting our position on final very shortly. So what I'm going to do, once we enter that little triangle, I'll put us on final, because then we have to take manual control at PR 710 normally, or around that area. So we are looking good here. Just going to go, we're literally going to scrape over the top of that hill here for the Paro approach. It's quite difficult, but it's definitely very doable. So we will also be putting our APU on as soon as we land as well, because it is a tight, very tight runway for landing. So we're looking good on our speed there. A little bit faster than what I want us to be on. You can see here we're still pointing down our nose a little bit. You can see down there the valley actually from the point, just how low down we are into this valley, and you can see Paro there actually through the hill, and that's Paro Airport, just typically glitching through the hill like airports in for flight do, and they tend to go through the scenery sometimes, and I have just done that. Now we are using casual server because I didn't want to mess up on any of the bigger servers, but that's alright, and we will sort our speed out again. We're down to 190, and we are on final in my eyes. Okay, we might not actually be on proper final, but it's just easier for me to say we're on final there. So that is our airport, that is our final destination, and we aren't actually going to clip the top of the mountain here. Even though it looks like we are going to be all good with the mounting, and we shouldn't hit it. I'm just going to check that we are actually going to hit that. No, see, there we go, right over the top of the hill. And then into Paro. So Paro will be in sight very shortly. Is that it there? There we go. So that is our airport. Paro is in sight, and we aren't going to clip the hill, I don't think. Nope. Okay, so now this is where it gets very tricky. So we're going to bring down our speed even more. Literally bring it down to 140. Get those spoilers in flight mode, and we will be disabling. Very shortly we will be getting rid of our vertical navigation and our autopilot. I got my checkpoint wrong. This isn't the one where we disable autopilot, or this isn't where I disable autopilot. But I know our vertical speed right now is minus 1200, so it's looking quite steep. I'm just going to change our nav range to 10 and put the arc mode on. And there is no waypoint, no flight plan. So this means that right now we are on our final bit of approach. So now I'm going to disable the autopilot and hopefully try and keep us flying steady for as long as I can, and hopefully we don't crash. So we are already near stall, which isn't a good sign. Bring our flaps down. We might need to use HUD actually, so we can put HUD in our cockpit for now. That's all we need it for right now, and I'm quite happy. I'm just going to bring down a few more flaps and sort our speed out on autopilot, because we are way too slow for what we want to be. Now I will bring out the landing gear in just a little second as well. So here we are literally going to have to make a left turn around this hill, followed by a very right steep turn, and this might not go to plan. We might actually end up doing a go around. So here we go. That is landing gear out. Flap set to final full. Bring down our speed, and we are literally just over the top of this hill here. We begin our left turn here. Again, we're still coming in quite high, I think, but we're alright. We should be alright here. There we go. Perfect. We should be able to just fly straight for just a little bit here, and I'm going to change my view just because I'm not too sure if I'm going to get this right here. There we go. We're going to just turn right in just a little second. Now the thing I always do is end up leaving this turn until it's too late, so we're going to start the turn just now a little bit earlier than you usually would. Everything is armed, and we are literally above the runway within seconds after that turn, and I've left it too late. I feel. Oh no, this isn't looking good. Come on. Oh, okay, right, that was not good. There we go, we've landed now. Well, if anyone knows that, fair play. What actually happened is that we touched down a little bit too early there, unfortunately. So that tends to happen when I fly to Paro. I'm just not really that good at it, to be honest, yet. But you know, practice makes perfect, and I will get it eventually. But that is literally one of the world's hardest approaches. So that is my first time actually doing that approach in a very, very long time. So I think I did pretty good. We can exit the runway just up here, I think. So here would be a very good place for us to leave the runway. Now, if anyone can land here without using the HUD, fair play to you, because it is a very, very tricky landing, and only a few dozen pilots are actually certified to land here in such large aircraft like this. So we're going to actually cheat. Because it's a casual server, we can do stuff like that. And we're going to go into replays and just see how well that landing went. I don't think it went too bad. And I think we actually nailed it in the end and got there. But, you know, that turn was very tricky right towards the end. So let's just turn the volume off in case no one can hear me. And here we go. So this is our little turn right to the end. And this is where I realised we were a little bit too loud, and boom. So, not really too bad. I mean, we come around the turn here. Everything's looking good. And then, kaboom, I turn a little bit too late. So I think the bank there sort of lost us the altitude we needed, which resulted in us unfortunately landing earlier. But we didn't have a tail strike, and we did, you know, sort of make it to the airport. But however, if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Other than that, I'll see you in my next video. Good night.
Find your way into this wonderland. Cross the maze, the dark, the innocent. Chase the faith, the thrill, the heaven sent. I got your